Hello. What does the future look like for residents and neighborhoods in the city of Pittsburgh? The city is in the middle of conducting a comprehensive plan. What does that look like? We'll ask our guests. And a center based at Chatham University is bringing a nationally known journalist to Pittsburgh for a program based on women in politics. They'll share how you can attend. Plus, a very special awards program takes place this month where each recipient has done great things and is 80 years old or older. Can't wait for that. So pull up a chair and meet us at the corner. Intersection starts right now. Hello, I'm Lisa Smith, the Director of Community Impact at KDKA+, and the host of Intersections. What will the city of Pittsburgh look like and be like in the next 25 years? It's a valid question, and one that cities across the country have asked themselves as they plan for the future. Well, right now, Pittsburgh is in the middle of creating its comprehensive plan. It's called Pittsburgh 2050, and joining us today are several people who are involved in pulling this plan together. We have Dr. Jamil Bey. He is the director of the Pittsburgh City Planning Department, along with the Assistant Director of Strategic Planning, Sharonda Watley. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So, Sharonda, let's start with you. So, give us a definition of a comprehensive plan. Like, what is it? What does that entail?
So a comprehensive plan is an expression of the community's vision and holistic goals for the future. And so this becomes a set of policies, recommendations, and strategies that help to guide the growth and development of the city. And so essentially the comprehensive plan becomes the playbook for how the city grows and develops over the future.
Yeah. So I know that the city has said that while we haven't had a comprehensive plan in 200 years, there have been some other plans, Dr. Bey, right? There was the Renaissance plan, a couple, 1 and 2, and some other things. So how does this comprehensive plan compare to other things that were done in the city?
Right, so you mentioned the Renaissance plan. I mean, we've done climate action plans, we've done transportation plans, but the difference, this is a comprehensive plan. And so that looks at how these things intersect with each other. The Renaissance plan was a plan for downtown Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. We're talking about all 90 neighborhoods. And you know, what we've not done in our history is thought about how all of these things fit together in a planned way. How, you know, and what does that mean for transportation? What does that mean for the future of housing and affordable housing policy? What does that mean for stormwater management? What does that mean for our tree canopy? How do we think about, you know, the intersection of where these systems meet and how they serve us all and the region?
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned some of those areas. Are those like priorities? Because I know that was on the website of some areas that you guys want to focus on. So how does that work? Right,
so what's really in our plan, since we haven't done one, like I said, we're behind other cities. Most cities are updating their plans when they're thinking about 2050. And so what we've done is we have 20 topic areas that we have to integrate. And that's really a part of, you know, part of the fun and the challenge though. You know, this is like, in addition to those, you know, we're talking about, you know, play spaces, workforce development, and, you know, so 20 other areas, you know, climate's impacts that we have to think about as we integrate and think about Pittsburgh 2050. And, you know, one of the things, you know, that we've here, you know, we already know we know what we need, let's go. And I think a part of this planning effort is really like we have to get the community involved. We have to really listen to it, you know, what are the tree advocates saying? What are the affordable housing advocates saying? What are the business advocates saying? You know, how do these things intersect for a vision for growth rather than a reaction to a crisis?
Yeah, and so Sharonda, like this, you know, like you're basically what you're pointing out is this is ambitious, right? So what does that engagement look like? You know, how do you make sure that you're talking to the corporate people in town as well as the small businesses and you know, all 90 neighborhoods and all all these, different levels of groups that we have here in the city? How do you get to all of those people?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. So we have set a very ambitious goal for ourselves to engage with 30,000 Pittsburghers or 1 in 10 Pittsburghers. And so many times as part of these processes, many segments of the population are left out. And so our goal was to make sure that we were including people who are not typically part of these processes, but also to be able to engage with 1 in 10 Pittsburghers is a really ambitious goal that we have for ourselves. And so for us to do that, we have to think about the individual as well as neighborhoods and networks and different communities across the city. And so in order to do that, we have a number of strategies around engagement, whether they are the Summer of Engagement, some of our larger sort of planning forums, some of our community meetings that typically already exist and are already happening. And so we really want to be able to partner with communities and community leaders to bring conversations to people where they're already having dialogue. And so we think that because Pittsburgh is so interconnected, we will definitely be able to have conversations, meaningful conversations with so many residents.
And that includes, the way that we've structured our committees. We have a youth committee that's just made up of, teenagers and early year olds. That's, that can reach that population. So we're working with them. What's important to you? Let's engage your network. We have a overall, a big picture steering committee that's made up of business leaders, community leaders, folks in philanthropy, folks in the county, and folks from surrounding municipalities, so that they're giving their input in as what's Pittsburgh's role in this? Let's hear from you. We don't exist in a vacuum or on an island, and all of these things. Then we have another committee of topic area experts. Yep. And so we're really trying to be thoughtful to make sure that we hit everybody. I mean, this is, like you said, this is ambitious.
Yeah. So how long does it take? How long have you given yourselves to do all of this work? And then what happens after you get all of that information?
See, that's the fun part and the challenging part. So we're thinking about Pittsburgh 2050, right? And in order for us to do that well and to create a vision for 2050, it bothers some folks because this is going to extend beyond an election cycle. And so we're thinking about what's best for Pittsburgh 2050. And so this is going to take us, 16 to 18 months to really just do that type of engagement, get the feedback, vet the recommendations, and then think about that implementation plan. So we're looking at, 16 to 18 months of actual boots on the ground, hard-hitting work, deep, rich engagement.
Yeah. So once that plan is done, you were talking about, it being past an election cycle. So once the plan is done, it does go to the city like any other plan for approval? Is that what the process would be?
Yes, so we do have to get the plan adopted by our planning commission, and so they will be briefed and also part of the process moving into adoption. And so it is something that we do have to do as part of the process.
Yeah. So I want to show people that there is a public forum coming up in April. And so tell us about that and what will be happening during that forum.
Sure. So we have envisioned a number of big events or a speaker series around some very specific topics related to the comprehensive plan. And so our first is April 30th. And so it will be around the topic of the just transition. And so our goal is to bring national experts as well as local expertise and the youth voice to all have the same conversation about Pittsburgh and what is happening in the city right now and where the city can go. Yeah. And so we're super excited to start to roll those out.
Okay, and then people can go to the website to learn more information about like where that's going to be and all of that.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Whatever comes up next. Well, thank you both for coming. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll talk more as the process goes on to get more information, more insight on what you're finding out.
That'd be wonderful.
We would love that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And coming up, we'll tell you about the high-profile figure coming to Pittsburgh soon to discuss women and politics. Intersections. We'll be right back. Well, Well, Pittsburgh is home to a center dedicated to increasing the representation of women in elected positions. Elsie Hillman founded the Pittsburgh Center for Women and Politics 27 years ago. It's housed at Chatham University, and right now they're preparing to host their 2024-25 Elsie Hillman Chair in Women in Politics, and we will tell you who that is in just a moment. But first, Dana Brown is here. She is the executive director of the center. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So first of all, before we talk about who that chair is, tell us a little bit about the center and why it was started by Elsie Hillman.
Right, so the Pennsylvania Center for Women in Politics at Chatham University has been around since 2001, and our focus, as a nonpartisan center, is educating and empowering women for public leadership. And we do that largely through our educational programs. So our political intervention as a university, right, is always through education, because with education, all things are possible.
Yeah, and you were telling me that Elsie Hillman wanted this because of what she was seeing in politics when she was around.
Yeah, that's right, Lisa. So she was a prominent Republican woman, Republican National Committee woman at one time. But as she was going through the party herself, she did find that there may have been some gender discrimination. And so in an effort to make change the way Elsie knew how, right, to make community connections and education open to all women who were thinking about participating in public life. And frankly, historically, Pennsylvania has not done so well in terms of the percentage of women serving in elective office. Right now, we have about 33% of our state legislators that identify as being a woman. So obviously that is far from parity, right? And that's not nearly reflective of who we are as a Commonwealth, since about 51% of our population is women.
Yeah, and you guys, the center has this really interesting boot camp to help people who are thinking about maybe running for office or being affiliated with a campaign. How does that work?
That's right. Now, for 14 years, we've been offering the Ready to Run campaign training program for women. And again, it's nonpartisan, open to all. And it is a day and a half of, like as you said, a public leadership, political boot camp, if you will. And so folks are welcome to come and learn everything from how to navigate the political party system to hard skills like fundraising and campaign communications. So again, all those things can be taught and learned. And we know that women who have taken the program have done amazing work. Many women are now serving in the state legislature and the county, whether it's on the judicial branch or the executive branch. So we have a lot of great success with Ready to Run. And so if you're thinking about getting involved in your community within the next 5-10 years, I hope people will come and consider Ready to Run.
Yeah. So let's talk about the lecture and the chair for 2024-25. Go ahead and tell us who it is and when she's coming to Pittsburgh.
We are proud to announce that we are hosting CNN anchor Abby Phillip this year as our Elsie Hillman Chair in Women in Politics. And we are hosting Abby for a free and open to the public lecture named after Elsie Hillman, coming this Tuesday, March 18th at 6 p.m. on campus.
Yeah. So what will she be talking about during this lecture? And what does that chair do? How engaged is that chair over the course of their chairmanship?
Right. So great questions. So Abby's talk is titled Today's Socio-Political Challenges, of which, of course, right now there does seem to be a lot to discuss. And so we are eager to hear her remarks as a seasoned journalist with such a national platform to help us understand and walk us through those. And of course, we'll have a Q&A session with Ms. Phillip as well. But prior to the public lecture, she will be meeting with Chatham University students so that they, of course, have their own time with the chair and can ask questions, whether it's professional questions, because they're young people thinking about their future, or political public policy questions that she might be able to help them navigate.
Yeah, and you guys do this every year, and you always have different people. What goes into that selection?
Yeah, so we are fortunate that we're able to host this program every year for the community, thanks to Elsie and the support of the Hillman Foundation. And we have a bipartisan external committee that meets to help get a read on where the community is and where we might be in the next year, since we plan so far in advance. And then, of course, we invite Chatham University leadership into the discussion too before we have our finalist, and we invite the chair.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is it's free, and we have some information. Again, it's going to be at the Campbell Memorial Chapel at Chatham, and as you mentioned, it's March 18th at 6 o'clock. And then people can register online to attend. Is that how it works?
Yes, that's correct. So if you go to the PCWP website, so it's pcwp.org, and you click on education, you'll find the Elsie Hillman Chair program listed there, and you'll be able to connect with Abby Phillip on Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a great event, and thank you so much for coming and sharing the information, and good luck with that. And look forward to who's going to be here next year.
That's right. I'm too excited. I wonder who that will be.
Yeah, right. Thanks so much, Dana. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, coming up, honoring local women for their 8 decades of contributions to the community. Intersections, we'll be right back. Well, if you know anything about Dorothy Height, she was an advocate for civil rights and women, known for her stylish hats, and she spent 40 years as president of the National Council of Negro Women. She also grew up in Rankin. Now, the Rankin-Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women hosts a very special luncheon every year. It honors women 80 years old and over who demonstrate the council's mission. Joining us now to share more about the event are Deneen Hood and Ernestine Watts-Taylor. Both are members of the Rankin-Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section. Thank you, ladies, for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely. So I was just chatting with you, and both of you say that you had an opportunity to meet Dorothy Height. Tell me, Deneen, first about your encounter, and then Ernestine, tell me what yours was like.
All right. Okay. Back in 2009, I attended a scholarship luncheon at the Rankin Christian Center, and Dorothy Height was the speaker there. She talked about her times growing up in Rankin, PA. I didn't realize she was from Rankin until I went to Tuskegee, and there she's a star. And she spoke so, impassionately about growing up in Rankin and the barrier she broke. She integrated the Christian Center where she was speaking at. She did so much in her church, her school, everything. We were so motivated, those of us that met her, that we decided we wanted to start a section of the National Council of Negro Women, and that's how our section started.
Wow, wow. And Ernestine, what was your encounter like?
Well, I met Dr. Height in Washington, D.C. at the national headquarters. For a period, I lived in Washington, D.C., and the headquarters is located on Pennsylvania Avenue in Northwest Washington, D.C. In fact, it's the only Black-owned building on Pennsylvania Avenue. And I took a tour of the facility, and I was invited to a reception there. And that's where I met Dorothy Height.
Yeah. Well, do you know what it meant to her to see the section established in the town, in the area where she grew up? Did that mean a lot to her?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because when I approached her, I told her, I was from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And then she had come several times after that for speaking engagements here. So she was very proud of her heritage. She always talked about she was from Rankin.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit about some of the things that you guys do here locally with the council.
Okay, our 4 core programs are health, education, social justice, and economic empowerment. And things we do around that, such as health initiatives. We do vaccination clinics, and all things involving health. You know, we try to make sure our population does get the health care that they need. We do the incentives and things for people. We do, in the food shortage, we do different things there during the holidays. We do baskets and give them a basket of food, their turkeys, etc. The other things, we do social justice. We partner with BPEP and the League of Women and Voters. And on 2 occasions, we've done many, been down and we register voters at the county jail. We also do that when the, different things, phone calling, marketing, all sorts of things as far as getting the voters registered and hosting things for people to come in and speak to our things. I mean, we do so much.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, I guess that's coming up, one of the things we do, the women that embody the spirit and exemplify our mission and Dorothy Heights' mission, we honor them after they have achieved the age of 80 or more.
Yeah, and that's the Legacy Luncheon.
Yes.
So Ernestine, tell me about this luncheon and what it means to these women who are being honored in their 80s. You know, what does that mean to some of them?
Most of them are just so honored and pleased to have been nominated. In fact, my mother was in the class of 2011. She was honored. At the time, she was 81 years old.
Wow.
And she was a legacy awardee. And prior to that, she had been a member of the Pittsburgh section of NCNW under the leadership of Frances Butts. And Mrs. Butts was honored last year as a legacy awardee of ours. She's also a life member, and she was 101 years old at the time that she was honored.
Wow.
And we honor people from all backgrounds, all communities, everything, and they are just overjoyed. I nominated a friend this year, Ernestine Broadwater, and she called me and she just can't keep thanking me. She said, "I didn't think you thought of me in that fashion."
Yeah. And I know you guys have like a couple dozen that are going to be honored this year. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just really quickly give me the location. Where is this sold out already?
Yes.
Oh,
it
okay.
is.
It is sold out. So, but there's the information on your screen. Unfortunately, the tickets are gone. But it's such a great honor for these women who, in some cases, like this may have been the first time they've gotten an award. So thank you guys for what you do for them, and we'll definitely have to have you back next year to find out what you have planned for next year's event.
Thank you for having us.
All right, thanks again.
Okay.
All right, and I'll have my last word when we come back. Age is just a number, they say, and that's certainly true when you think about the accomplishments people make in their lives and the legacy they create. Young people often inspire us with their ingenuity and creativity, and those who are more seasoned often show that they do amazing things that break new ground and should be celebrated. So the point is, never let age be a factor in deciding to do something new or groundbreaking. Your age doesn't matter. What you do does. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Intersections.